And the game is over. LSU, for the first time, well, the past 5 years, they haven't won a season opener. But tonight, they break that streak in Clemson, South Carolina, beating Clemson 17-10 in a hard-fought ball game. And, well, I mean, that's pretty much all I can say. But I just watched Brian Kelly's interview with the sideline reporter, and you can tell he's glad to get out of this one. But, hey, LSU fans, congrats to you. Some of you were really nice. Some of you, I wonder if you're okay, but I'm going to leave that at that. But I'm going to dive into the game here in just a moment. If you love talking Clemson football, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. It's free. Also, I have another channel called Another College Football Podcast where I talk about college football as a whole. That link is should be below. If it's not, I'll add it here in a moment. But listen, let's talk about what just happened. The other night, I was previewing this game, and I said that if Clemson's offense came in and they were conservative, that if they made it easy for LSU to apply pressure, I said that LSU would win this ball game. I said it, I'm pretty sure, in the pregame, the same thing. I said it during the offseason. You know when you're going to play LSU or in certain teams that they're not just going to stand back and let you run your play. And I know that a lot of people right now is giving Cade Klubnik crap because, he's supposed to do this, he's supposed to do that. Right now, I am telling you, our offensive play calling, I mean, it just does not. Well, the end result tonight was our defense stayed on the field for a long, 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 long time, and they were just tired. Folks, after watching Gus Malzahn coach Florida State, a team that just basically they fired every coach that they had except for Norvell and brought in a ton of players, and then you bring this guy in right out of Central Florida being their head coach, and he's running the offense, and he could actually coach up. I mean, Alabama has some really good players. They should have beat Florida State today. But the offensive play calling was the difference. And no offense to Florida State, congrats on what happened with you today. Clemson has better athletes than Florida State. And to see just the offensive play calling, I'm sorry, folks. To me, this is the flat tire on the race car. We could talk about a few questionable calls on defense, but overall, the defense stayed on the field over and over and over again. And I'm going to get into those stats. By the way, Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik finished the game according to ESPN with 230 yards. Both of them threw for 230 yards. Caden Durham was the story of the game. With offensively, that cat, he had 74 yards rushing. Adam Randall had 16. He had Bryant Wesco with 66 yards receiving. You had Aaron Anderson, 99 yards receiving. Harold Perkins got a sack. Will Helt had a sack. Both of those guys, did a very good job. We're going to dive into the stats here in just a second. In fact, I'm going to do that now. Clemson's defense, well, I can tell you time of possession. I'm going to talk about time of possession because to me, that is the story of the game. That's the story of the game because it puts Clemson's defense out on the field forever. LSU had the ball 37 minutes to Clemson's almost 23 minutes. Can you imagine the fatigue of these defensive players. And folks, I'm telling you, this we've been witnessing this now for a while. Now, you know me, I try to treat this as a game. This is a game. At the end of the day, most of these players, most of these coaches on either team, on any team, they don't know you and I. But I'm going to tell you that this offense, this play calling, it hit a stride there in the second half. And if you watch my halftime video, I talked about that. I said, hey, it's like Garrett was getting everyone calmed down on the first two drives. And then all of a sudden, Clemson started calling more aggressive plays. They kept LSU honest. They marched down the field. They scored a touchdown. They looked good. And then we went back to what we went back to. And if I'm an LSU fan, I know the easy rebuttal. By the way, I'm not even looking at the comment section right now because I can't pay attention and look at the comment section and talk. I mean, it will totally be a chasing a squirrel moment. But the rebuttal that I would have if I'm an LSU fan is that, well, that's because our defense is so good and that it overwhelmed you. Well, we've been at this with this coordinator. We have 3 years of this. The coordinator before him did that as well. And then a lot of people don't like to talk about it because Tony is a seemingly a very nice guy, and he was part of the national championships, but he was co-offensive coordinator. He and Jeff were coordinators together. Okay. But Tony even became one-dimensional. I say one-dimensional. It just wasn't, the play calling was not that amazing. And what happened was it put our defense out on the field for a very long time. And this has now been happening for many years. So I'm glad that Dabo Swinney pulled in Tom Allen. I'm glad that he brought that guy in. There were some moments tonight, I feel like, especially on that touchdown play to the tight end, that 6'7". You had no safety help over the top. Well, they had trips over here. Yeah, but when I'm sitting in my living room with my son sitting beside me, kind of leaning in on me, just hanging in. He's 9 years old. He's kind of cuddled up next to me. When I looked at that play, I went, they're going to toss the ball up to the corner. And that's you can't let that happen. Well, he's 5'11" versus 6'7". Get some help over there. I mean, I don't get that. I don't understand that. I think the defense was definitely tackling better, and I think that there was some good moments. The biggest problem of this evening, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you this, Clemson fans, you can go ahead and get mad at me. I really don't care. I told you it was good to expect things of this Clemson team because whether you believe it or not, Clemson does have a lot of the right pieces. Right down to the quarterback, and yes, even the offensive line, who a lot of people are going to say, no, that's bullcrap. They actually do. You have to call plays that keeps the defense guessing. You have to call plays that the defense just can't send everyone in all at once and overwhelm them. You can't do that. And folks, that's all we saw tonight. And so, Clemson fans, I'm going to tell you this. The last time Clemson beat a top 10 football team was in 2023 against Notre Dame. And then before that, you have to go a long way back. So I'm going to say this to you, Clemson fans. There's a lot of season left. And I'm pulling for this team. I'm pulling for Cade. I'm pulling for all the players out there. But here's one more. And LSU fans, I'm not talking trash to you. I mean, you beat us by a touchdown. You didn't beat us by 30. But I believe LSU's a good team. I don't think that LSU is. I'll hold that statement until I see them have some consistency in the season. Because we've seen LSU go out and beat some good teams and then turn around and lose to some bad teams or blow it in the big game. So I'm just saying to any LSU fan out there, I respect that you beat Clemson tonight, but at the end of the day, it wasn't like you ran them out of their own stadium. It was a 7-point win. It was a 7-point win. And I mean, considering our offense was calling the plays as a whole, I'm not saying there wasn't a good play called here and there, but I'm just saying in a big game like this, you have to bring an aggressiveness that just regular coaches that's coaching at this level, you can't bring that. And so that Clemson only loses by 7 in this game with leaving their offense or their defense out on the field 14 minutes of the game. I think 7 points, losing by 7 points is pretty good considering. But if Clemson would have had a different, just had a totally different offensive game plan, they definitely could have beat LSU. So the rest of the season, and I'm going to say this to Clemson fans right now because Clemson fans needs to hear this. And I'm seeing the comment section. I'm going to get into the comment section here in just a second. There's some good stuff in here. There's some LSU fans in here. I think there may be some LSU fans in here that thinks they just won by 30. You just won by 7. You just won by 7, and you had very Manila play calling on the offense called against you. So for the good ones, hey, congrats on your win. You should be happy. For the ones who's acting like you just beat Clemson by 45 points, it was only 7. I'm going to say this to the Clemson fan base, and I want to make this very clear to you. I'll be pulling for Clemson. Like I said just a second ago, I started looking at the comments and see it got me all bothered here. Can't even speak. But I'm going to tell you this. If Clemson comes out throwing the ball around the yard next week against Troy, I don't want one of you. I don't care if they run up 100 points and they have 5,000 yards of total offense. I don't want one of you to brag about it. Because tonight was the night to do that. Not next week against Troy. I mean that. I told you this last year when they played Georgia and lost 31-3, and the next week they came out and did what they did against Appalachian State, the worst Appalachian State team that they've ever fielded so bad they had to fire a coach that was alumni. I told you that was the wrong time to open it up, y'all. And I'm going to say this to you. If Clemson comes out and they open up, they're just coming up with all these just trickeration, if that's a word, against Troy, I'm going to be ticked. And no, I will not be impressed. Tonight was the night to prove that you know how to coach at a high level. And you just lost to a team that prior to tonight, they hadn't won a season opener in half a decade. And they just came to your house and beat you. They beat you at night. And by the way, this is the second time in a row that Clemson has played at night and lost at night. And last year was the first time Clemson had lost at night. Was the first time that they had lost at home at night since 2013. So all I'm going to say to Clemson fans who's easily impressed by sparkly things is wait for them to beat a good team. Because right now it's out of the question. It is out of the question. We can talk about a questionable call here. We can talk about a questionable call there. At the end of the day, the offensive play calling was easy for this defense to go head-to-head with. In fact, I'm sitting there going, if Clemson's defense actually has to be that good because they were tired, And either they're that good or maybe LSU's offense is not that good because you had the ball for 14 minutes longer than Clemson. So there's some things to weigh out there, but I just know that the offensive scheme tonight, I mean, after sitting and watching that Alabama-Florida State game, I saw a game plan that would beat someone you were not supposed to beat with a bunch of guys who've barely been on campus. And tonight we returned more players than anyone in college football. And the defense, for the most part, did a pretty good job. I mean, tired, but the offense, and I'm not really, again, I'm sure there was some missed assignments here and there, but overall, the scheme was not there. And this scheme, I'm just afraid this scheme, I mean, it looked like last year. It really did look like last year. And I told everybody, you don't hold on to that Texas game too much. I'm going to get into the comment section because I know there's some good comments in here. I know there's a lot of people coming in here ready to have some fun. JT Brown, Garrett Riley needs to go. I've seen quite enough. Good to see you, JT Brown. Let me see. Bradley Robinson wants him gone. There's a bunch of people who's getting in here, so y'all forgive me as I'm getting here, getting a bunch of comments. Hey, by the way, listen. If you like what I'm doing, I'm an independent, which means there's no strings attached. If you like what I'm doing, I hope you'll subscribe tonight and pass it along to anyone else who likes Clemson football or likes talking college football. Also, below this video, I have a brand new channel called Another College Football Podcast because there's so many. Also, there's a ton of you in here right now. So even if you don't like Clemson, even if you don't like me, you should still fill out this giveaway, courtesy of 1790 Knife and Tool out of Pendleton, South Carolina. Here's the giveaway. There is a link below here. And all you need to do is register using the form below and provide some content ideas for me. And I'm going to pick a winner, a runner-up, and a third-place winner. Now, these are custom-made knives. This is not cheap stuff. These are custom-made, officially licensed knives. There's Clemson knives. There's regular knives. The pry tool and everything. Go in and fill out that form. Give me some ideas. That would be awesome. Also, if you want to make a purchase, use DABO5 as the code for a 5% discount, free shipping, and you're automatically entered in the giveaway. So go over there and say hello to Bill Mooney. Bill, I hope you're doing well. All right. And by the way, this giveaway is about to end. It's about to end. So you better get in tonight. Going to get in here. A bunch of comments getting in here. Never heard TJ Parker or Peter Woods the whole game. TJ Parker and Peter Woods was applying pressure up front. They, sometimes just because you're not getting your name called all the time doesn't mean you're not having an impact on the game. When did you going to admit that Clemson quarterback is garbage? I'm not, Blake. I think that last I checked, Garrett Nussmeier and Cade threw for about the same yardage. If Nussmeier's, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to just say this. Nussmeier did a good job. Cade, considering the strategy, did a good job. And neither one of them did a great job. Neither one of these two quarterbacks tonight looked like first-round quarterbacks. Neither, and I'm not being mean to either one of them or being a jerk. I'm just saying neither one of them would make me, if I was an NFL team, go, that's our guy. So, let me see. I'm trying to get in here. Hide message. Let's see. Offensive line can't block nothing. Again, this goes back to scheme. I truly believe this is scheme. There's a bunch of comments coming in, and I'm trying to get into them as quick as I possibly can. Let me see. Clemson don't like accountability. It's the OC's fault. Yeah, Antonio, I don't think you follow Clemson that much because it's been going on for a while, and I actually called this out on my prior videos. But I'm glad you're here, Antonio. No one blaming the receivers. Just go straight to Cade. Yeah, there was some passes dropped tonight that the ball was put there, and in a game like this, you have to catch it. Ball says go LSU. Yeah. We were outplayed and outcoached. I think especially outcoached on the defensive side went after us. Our offensive side didn't go. Our offensive scheme did not go after LSU. We played right into their hands. That's what's bothering me is that we're playing scared ball here. Let me see. Florida Gator says to LSU, congrats on the win. Rick Williams. O-line was horrible, and Riley got way too much credit for this offense. All he does is throw underneath and fail. Coaching lost that game. Simple as that. That was a really good comment, and right now my software is just bouncing around to so many people right now. Chase Henderson, we took one shot downfield. Yeah, I know. And that's what I'm talking about here. There is it really does not make sense what's going on here. It really doesn't make sense. The offensive play calling, we were told in year one with Garrett that he was going to have to get used to some things, but he was going to revamp the offense. And folks, I'm just going to tell you right now, our offensive scheme looks the same as 2 years ago when we lost to Duke 28-7. It does. So, I told everyone, don't hold on to that Texas performance with too much hope. I said that some of you were holding on to it like a scared child holds on to a teddy bear. I said that was the big question for me. Again, LSU has always had a lot of talent. LSU has had a ton of talent over the years, and poor coaching has cost them left and right. So they should know what it's like. You know what I mean. Let's go on down. Let me see. There's a couple of really good ones. Manila or vanilla? Both. Coming on down here. Let me see. 100% right there, man. Going on down, checking out the comments. Can't run the ball. It looks soft. Again, I'm telling you, the scheme is what's, what cost us. And it's been costing us. It costed us with Streeter. It costed us in the last few years of Tony. Folks, for you to call offense, you could walk me up to a whiteboard right now and you could draw out different scenarios and people could talk about just how intellectual you are about the game. But folks, I always ask you this question. What's the end result? That's all that really matters. So getting on down here, there's a bunch of people that comment. I was trying to get to a couple of these. Right here, JT Brown. Well, at least between Wofford and South Carolina State, at least one team in this state won a game this weekend. That is hilarious, JT Brown. Thanks for supporting the channel with $5. That is hilarious. Yeah, yeah. North Dakota State played Citadel today and bit the crap out of them. That is absolutely crazy. Um, let's keep going. I believe this is Tiger Paul Craven. This was a poor performance by Cade in the offensive line. We have no running game. Well, I'm telling you, and I know you're trusting me. I know you trust me here because I've known Tiger Paul Craven for a while. When your strategy does not make the other team stop and go, I don't know if we should blitz right now because this team may make us pay if we blitz. They may, you use it against them. When you don't do that, it's easy to overwhelm an offensive line. And that's what I'm seeing. Get on down here. There's so many people in here. I appreciate you all being in here. Bunch of people in here having fun. K completion percentage can't be much higher than 0% when blitz. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe so. Maybe so. You know, I'd step back and I think as I'm looking through here, and I'm looking at all the comments, the number one thing to do is to go look at teams who know how to scheme against really good competition. Some people know how to scheme a really good passing game. Some knows how to balance out between pass and run. Some knows how to take a team and use their aggressiveness against them and still run the ball, maybe just not where you would normally run it. There's different ways to skin a cat here. So there's a lot of different options. Today, and I'm using this as the example, Gus Malzahn absolutely embarrassed Alabama with a Florida State team who a lot of the players that were the main reasons they won the game, they probably still have unpacked boxes at their dorm room. And Malzahn hasn't been at Florida State, too long. He probably still has some unpacked boxes himself. It's called scheme. I'm not talking about Malzahn as a head coach. I'm talking about as an offensive mind. When all he has to do is call offense. Chip Kelly, we saw what Chip Kelly did. Well, he had Jeremiah Smith. Y'all, let's stop with as long as you have the toys in the garage, you know how to drive. You don't know how to drive. I've seen a lot of people crash a lot of talent. And tonight, I think is just an example of Clemson does not have I just don't think they have the offensive scheme. I really don't. Super chat, man, why are you glazing this team so much? Are they paying you off? We want the obvious truth. Brad G. Sanford, thanks for supporting the channel, and I really do appreciate that. I'm not glazing the truth. The truth is Clemson's offense looked bad, but it comes all the way back to scheme. I am telling you it comes back to scheme. Am I saying that Cade's the best quarterback in the country? No. Nussmeier just won the game. Nussmeier didn't look amazing. He didn't. I'm not sitting here taking a shot at Nussmeier or Cade. Neither one of them looked amazing. There's other guys you could look at and say, oh, they went in the top 10 of the first round of the draft, and you go, it's obvious. Joe Burrow, yeah, he looked like it. Trevor Lawrence, us Clemson fans knows absolutely. Yes. These two guys tonight, no. I'm telling you the truth. Breggie Santford. That's funny. Thanks for supporting the channel. A lot of people in here are very upset about the scheme. Chase Brill said, this game felt just like the Duke game. I agree. It is really, really interesting to see a lot of the comments in here. Folks, here's what I'm going to tell you, and I said this in I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to stop looking at the comment section because this video is going too long and I don't want to do that to anyone. Here's my closing thought because I'm done after this. If the only time you win is when you're not playing a really good football team, that's a problem. And our offense does not have a killer instinct. The scheme does not have a killer instinct. And again, they only lost by 7 points. There's a lot of season to play. There's a lot ahead of Clemson. But I'm sorry, it's just as a Clemson fan who's been born and raised in that area, lived in that area for many years, and I still don't live too far from Clemson. I live about an hour from the stadium. I can tell you straight up that if the only time that you win is when you're not playing a really good football team, I'll let you finish that. I'll let you finish that thought. And so Clemson loses yet again to a top 10 football team. They knew this game was coming. LSU, this was their first game too. So I don't want to hear the first, oh, this is the first game. Really? This is the first game? No. They just sprung this on Clemson. They didn't know they were playing this game for months. I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about some of the strategy I saw tonight. And it's just one of those scenarios, y'all, that Clemson will lose a lot of what they have right now at the end of this season. Then what? So if you can't do it with this group of players, and I'm not saying they're the best players that's ever played at Clemson. Sure, they're not. The vast majority of them are not. But this is not a bad group, folks. Again, for anyone who's really, really like reveling in this right now, LSU only won by a touchdown. So it's not like a 30-point blowout. I love it when people exaggerate how much they won by. Oh, we owned y'all. We did this. This, that, and the other. You won by a touchdown. It's funny. And your offense could only muster 17 points against a defense who stayed out there almost a quarter longer than your offense. I mean, that's really food for thought. But Clemson fans, I'm just telling you that this is not a good look for us Tigers. For us Tigers. This is not good for us to not be able to beat a top 10 football team. And I told you last year, I said, you got win number 10, you got into the ACC championship, got the ACC championship and made it to the college football playoff. You still have a lot to prove. And some of the people who love the whole, the glass is half full mindset, they totally live that way all the time. Didn't like that a lot. And I told you, I said, you need to be careful with a false sense of accomplishment. I know there's a banner up in Death Valley because of last year, but don't be too impressed by that. And tonight, again, proves it. We have a problem on offense. The strategy is not there. The play calling is not there. And I end yet again with this. If we open up the playbook against a team next week in Troy that we could just spot the ball and beat them by 30, but if I see us slinging the ball around and we're putting up ungodly numbers, I'm sorry, folks, I'm not impressed. tonight was the night to do that. And if you know football, you know that as well. I'll leave it there. Folks, if you like what I'm doing, I hope you will subscribe. It is free. I hope you'll pass it around to your buddies, your friends, your neighbors. There are a ton of comments that I can't even imagine getting to. Even if you're in here trash talking me, hey, I'm glad even you're here. Seriously, I appreciate you being here. There was one more thought I had. Okay. And the giveaway, 1790 knife and tool. That link is below. Go fill it out. You may win. You may win. You never know. And also check out my other channel, another college football podcast. The link is below. Go subscribe to it. Y'all take care of yourselves. And as always, go Tigers.